Okay, hi there folks. I've got another video review for you, and today's episode is about a property guru called Rick Otton. Rick Otton is very active in Australia. Before that, he was based in the United States, and he did a lot of what I call creative cash flow property deals. I met Rick once in when he visited Brisbane, which is my hometown. I was also running property seminars, and he attended one of my course nights, and I had a bit of a chat to him. He's got quite a profile in Australia, but he also is quite active in other countries, including the United Kingdom. Now, apart from doing his own property deals, and he teaches how he does it. And it's probably true to say that he's made more money from teaching deal making than he has from actually doing the deals himself. Now, I have used some of his strategies in the past when I had an active property and finance business, and our little group put together over 100 positive cash flow deals, which are also known as RAPs, or rent buys. Rick Otton has extended further into other property strategies, creative property strategies. And unfortunately, it appears that at least one of the strategies that he has taught has got him into a spot of hot water with the media and with the government regulator in Australia. Anyway, let's have a look at this, and we can draw your own conclusions. Products. His products are essentially creative property deal making education programs, various products including self-study programs such as his Wrap Pack. He may have withdrawn the Wrap Pack, but that was his original self-study home study program. I actually bought it myself. Consists of a series of videos, DVDs, CDs, manuals, templates, examples of legal contracts, and so on. We're selling for about $3,500, and it's a self-study program. They're included in the Wrap Pack program is a support system you can plug into weekly calls and things like that. Although his self-study programs sold for several $1,000s, I think it's probably fair to say that he would regard his flagship program as his boot camp, and that sold for $3,000. I had many of my own students attend his boot camps. He ran them in different parts of Australia, also in the UK, and I think other countries. The price seems to jump around a bit, but typically he was selling it for $3,000. He also has a personal mentoring program which sells for up to $17,000. Let's look at the brickbats. Although his strategies do work, he exaggerates how easy it is to make them work. Okay. He sometimes pushes the envelope in terms of legality, because these are very creative deals, and there are some governments that don't particularly like them, and sometimes they may say that a certain tactic is not legal. So you need to consult a lawyer who is familiar with these sorts of arrangements if you're going to be doing them yourself. The strategies are entrepreneurial and not for the faint-hearted, that's for sure. And despite the fact he pitches to the mums and dads market, people, everyday investors who've got some assets that they can leverage into property deals, the mums and dads generally are not entrepreneurial. So the strategies are entrepreneurial, but the people that he attracts to his seminars and these courses and things like that are generally not entrepreneurial types. And as a consequence, they find it quite difficult to do these things because it requires a total shift in the way they think. It's more of a business strategy than it is a property investment strategy. It's about finance, it's about wheeling and dealing, it's about negotiating, and you've got to be good at all of those things, okay? And whereas your traditional property investor, they're not entrepreneurial at all. They'll buy a house and they'll get your local estate agent to find a tenant for it, and that's the end of it. Their involvement is finished. They'll just go and buy the house. Whereas rent-to-buys and vendor financing deals and using option contracts to gain leverage or control over a property, it's extremely entrepreneurial. These are extremely entrepreneurial activities. And so you have to be able to think and act in a certain way. So as a consequence, a lot of people have signed up for these boot camps, attended these boot camps. And they've never actually done a deal since they've been to the boot camp. You can follow them up 6 months, 12 months later, and the vast majority of them have never done a thing. They haven't lifted a finger to implement what they learnt at the boot camp. Now, of course, I'm not that way inclined. If I spend X thousands of dollars on a home study program, you can be sure that I'm going to implement it, and that's exactly what I did. So, and that's why my business, in conjunction with some other people that I was working with, that collectively were able to put together, as I said before, over 100 of these deals. So we prove that it can be done. But there is a real downside with doing these sorts of deals, particularly if they're rent-to-own type deals. People do stop paying their rent, and then you've got to chase them, and all sorts of issues there. That's one of the reasons why I got out of that kind of industry. Bouquets. These strategies represent a refreshing change from the standard buy and hold strategies. Okay. They are creative, and there are people out there who are looking to do these sorts of deals. They don't get much joy from just buying a house and sitting on it for the next 20 years and hoping the tenant will pay it off for you. So these are the people that want to create more cash flow. Yeah, but these are people who want to create more positive cash flow and they want to increase their returns. So potential for early positive cash flow. Unique ability to get people excited. That's Rick. He's a kind of guy who could sell ice creams to Eskimos. He's like that. That said, it's not all hype. He does include plenty of nuts and bolts information. Enough information for an entrepreneurial person to move forward and actually implement and do one of those deals. So once again, I made this comment about another person that I did a review on. That's Brett McFall. These guys tend to be at the bottom end of the make money market, the make money niche, and they attract all sorts of people who aren't a good fit for these more entrepreneurial approaches to making money. So, but for the right person, they can work really well, these strategies, if they're that way inclined. Now, he has had some adverse media. Various media outlets and self-described consumer advocates have targeted Otton, and the ACCC, which is an Australian regulatory body, the Australian Competition Commission, Competition Commission or something like that. I can't remember the thing there because I haven't lived in Australia for 2 years, so I forget some of these things. But they have taken action. I believe it was last year. There hasn't been a resolution yet. I haven't actually seen any response from Rick Otton other than say, well, he's not guilty of these allegations, but there has not been a resolution. Now, we'll have a quick look at some links now. This is one, rickotton.com, but unfortunately it's no longer active. You see the last update was 2011. I wonder why he continues to run this blog, because it's like 5 years old. Oh, it's not a good look. Perhaps he should pull it down. The next one is active, and this is his WeBuyHousesRadio.com site, and basically he runs blog posts and podcasts from here. So he does all sorts of interviews, he gets other property investors to talk about their experiences, he runs different topics, like here's one here, how to scale up, backpacker, property investor, the power of asking the right questions, banks can be your ally when things go wrong, how to turn a dump into a pot of gold, and so on. So there you go. So that's his main website now. If you want to get involved, you can make an inquiry by clicking the Contact Us button. You can also follow him on Facebook and Twitter and some of these other platforms. You can subscribe and receive your free Property Investors Toolkit, which he uses as a front-end hook to build his list, and of course he will then promote back to you his profitable products and programs, etc. So if you want to go deeper, you're going to need to spend some money, but if you're wanting to just get a bit of an idea as to what he's on about, you can subscribe to his newsletter, his free toolkit, and so on. There you have it. Just on the brickbat side of things, there are a few negative posts out there about Rick Otton. Essentially, the ACCC said this: Mr. Otton's business, We Buy Houses Proprietary Limited, had no reasonable grounds for making these claims. Sydney-based Mr. Otton promoted his seminars by saying he had used the system successfully himself. The ACCC alleges this is false or misleading because Mr. Otton had not been successful financially in implementing the system. That comes as a bit of a surprise to me because I believe that Rick Otton has definitely used these strategies that he teaches. In fact, his rent-to-buy strategies he has used extensively for well over 10 years. But maybe they're referring, I think they were perhaps referring to some of these other more creative strategies, how to buy a house for $1, that kind of a thing. And that's maybe where he got himself into hot water. His business for actually that he uses, so what I've shown you is his educational business, which is rickotton.com, which is a little bit out of date, which is several years out of date, but the main one here, WeBuyHousesRadio.com. So they referred there about his own experiences. The fact is that Rick Otton is not. He had a business. His main property business was called We Buy Houses, and he had that business fully functioning for many, many years. As I said before, he wasn't only doing deals in Australia, but before that he was doing property deals in the US. And so he had this We Buy Houses, and in fact when I was doing these deals myself, we did come up against him. He was a competitor in our marketplace in southeast Queensland. So I know that he was doing these kinds of deals for many, many years. But I understand that he is now out of that, and he no longer runs We Buy Houses, and another company has taken it over or something like that. So Rick Otton now just focuses on the education side of things. All right, that gives you a bit of an idea. If you're interested in finding out more about Rick Otton, or as I said, digging deeper, learning more about his strategies, you can still He's still in business at this point. Well, who knows what the future may bring. I guess partly depends on the outcome of this investigation by that government body. But if you like his strategies, you can still subscribe and dig deeper and learn more about them. And there's nothing to stop you from implementing some of these strategies yourself in your own right. Okay, this is Kim Willis. Bye for now.